If you're thinking about becoming a parent someday, there's probably a lot of questions you want to figure out beforehand. For one, you're taking care of a child, your child, and you want to make sure you're doing everything you can to make sure your child is as healthy as possible. That's why you take your time to do your own research, but sometimes when you hear things on the internet, you can become a little skeptical. Like, did you know that the 5-second rule was a myth? That's right, it's completely made up. But before you go eating food off the floor, know that the amount of bacteria that gets on your food has to do with how dirty the floor actually is, not how long it's been there. So if you drop your food into a pile of mud, I don't think picking it up within 5 seconds is gonna help you. But if you're getting ready to take care of a child, you're probably skeptical about other things too. Like, what about vaccinations? Normally, before leaving a hospital, a baby will already receive his or her first dose of vaccinations, and they'll need more vaccinations throughout their life. It's no secret that vaccines have played a big part in our history, dating all the way back to 1796 when the first smallpox vaccine was invented. Before there were vaccines, diseases like whooping cough, polio, and measles infected hundreds of thousands of infants, children, and adults every year in the US alone, leaving thousands to die. If it weren't for vaccines, it's hard to judge how the world would look today. But recently, many people have taken a different attitude towards vaccines. People who don't like vaccines, also known as anti-vaxxers, have come up with many reasons for why they don't want to vaccinate their kids or have anything to do with vaccines in general. Among all of the things that they claim, one of the main arguments they have is that vaccines cause autism. And although over a dozen studies have tried and failed to find a link between vaccines and autism, these anti-vaxxers still hold strong. But who is right? Do these anti-vaxxers know something that other people don't? Well, let's look at their claims. The debate about whether or not vaccines cause autism began in 1998, when some British researchers published a paper saying that the MMR, or measles, mumps, rubella vaccine was linked with autism. This study received a lot of publicity and led other doctors to do their own research on the topic. Spoiler alert, none of them found any link to autism. And after some investigating, that 1998 study had a lot of flaws, and the journal that published it eventually took it away, meaning it no longer stood by its results. And to make matters even more suspicious, investigators learned that a lawyer looking for a link between vaccines and autism paid the researchers a lot of money, about more than $500,000. Sounds pretty shady, right? But anti-vaxxers didn't stop there. Another concern they have is one of the ingredients in vaccines, known as thimerosal. Thimerosal contains a metal called mercury, and the use of this ingredient was to prevent the growth of bacteria and fungi in vaccines. Now, people are right to be concerned about mercury. Consuming it in high doses is toxic, and it can kill you. But do you know what else is toxic at high levels? Water. And if you consume too much of it, it will become toxic and the cells inside your body will burst. Actually, pretty much everything in high doses will be toxic. But if you're still worried, know that even though the amount of mercury used in these vaccines showed no link to autism or any other harm, it was still taken out of most vaccines by 2001. But you've probably heard of some cases of people having negative reactions to vaccines. And while it's true that these outliers do exist, you have about a 1 in 1 million chance of getting a severe reaction to most vaccines. While this risk seems low, an anti-vaxxer might say no to getting a vaccine because they don't want to deal with the risk. While I see where they're coming from, the idea of avoiding a vaccine because it's too risky doesn't really make any sense. It's kind of like saying, I'm too scared to take the elevator in case it breaks down. I think I'll take my chances of jumping instead. Nothing in this world is perfect, and pretty much everything you do has a risk. The average person in the US has about a 1 in 100 chance of dying in a car crash, a fate much more likely than a bad reaction to vaccines. And while going on a walk might feel safer, you still have about a 1 in 3,000 chance of being struck by lightning during your lifetime. The difference is, if you avoid traveling in a car or going on a walk, you should still be fine. You could be lucky enough to work from home and you just won't get that much exercise. But if you avoid getting a vaccine, the risks greatly outweigh the benefits. You open your body to a whole range of diseases that your body has no immunity to. These are diseases that kill thousands of people for the past century. We just haven't heard about them since vaccines have done such a good job in preventing them. What are your thoughts on vaccines? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our new tips every week.